Hello. So thank you so much, Megan, for introducing me. I never thought that I would be speaking at Green U so early in my life. I feel like I'm still a student. I literally just graduated from Rice in May, like Megan said, and I have my first real job that I started in September. So I've been there for like 3 months. So I work in the Texas Medical Center. It's the largest medical center in the world. Feel very lucky and blessed to be at Baylor College of Medicine, which has been ranked by U.S. World News and Report. Whoops. Okay. As one of the top medical schools in research, and is actually the first in Texas for the amount of funding they get from the National Institute of Health. So it's very exciting things that they're doing there. So growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor. I always was very passionate about health and wellness and medicine, and I knew that I wanted to serve people, I wanted to serve the community that I came from, and I wanted to make a difference. And so I think we all kind of know how the general conventional doctor visit goes. It's very quick. Usually it's like 15 minutes. You barely see your doctor, and by the end you have some list of medications that you have no idea what they're for, and you honestly don't really know why you were there in the first place. But back then, when I was younger, that was the norm for me. I accepted that. I said, okay, these are doctors, and they go to school for this amount of years, so they're specialists. They know what to give me. They probably know more about my body than I do. No. So growing up, in addition to my passion for health, I was also, I was into nature. Like Megan said yesterday, she was a naturalist, but not really an environmentalist, and I totally resonate with that. I found a paper that I wrote in middle school about global warming after watching An Inconvenient Truth, and it was very much about, yes, Antarctica and the polar bears and what they're doing over there. It's terrible. We need to do something about this warming environment, but I had no idea that there was such a huge connection between the polar bears, and my health, between their life and my life. I never put the two things together at all. So growing up, I lived a very processed life. I think artificial flavors were a food group of mine. This was a common breakfast of mine, and my daily routine was made up of these toxic chemicals found in these everyday products. So I had no idea what I was putting in my body, what I was putting on my body, and how it was having an effect on me, until I found myself again in this doctor's office. I was 17 years old, and my body was telling me something that I didn't quite know what to do with it. I was having all these crazy symptoms, things that seemed kind of mild. I was having foggy brain and trouble concentrating in school, and I was very highly anxious, and I even at one point started noticing that my menstrual cycles were getting far and far in between. I was having 3 months and 6 months, and doctors were saying, oh, that's fine, you're an athlete, that happens to women, or with difficulty concentrating. I was a senior. Oh, you're just really stressed. You're applying for college. That happens. It's all the time. And I said, okay. So I accepted it, and I moved on. And I didn't really think that there was anything I could do about it. I just thought that was just how my life was going to be for a while. It wasn't until I went to Ecuador. I was very lucky. The summer after my freshman year at Rice, I spent 2 months in Ecuador, and we were teaching nutrition and environmental health. But at that time, I had a conventional mind. So here I am with the U.S. food pyramid in Ecuador, where they have literally an amazing knowledge of food. They get their food from the farms. They know how to live, right? And here we are, Americans, teaching us a way that is completely just backwards. So when I spent my time there, those 2 months, I noticed a lot of things that were changing in my body, positive things. I felt myself becoming healthy again. I felt myself becoming happy again. I felt my body was going back to the way it felt before I was going through all those doctor's visits and trying to figure out what was wrong with my body. So I made a connection. I said, we're eating differently. We're in a different environment. What is it that I'm exposed to in the United States that I'm not exposed to here in Ecuador? So I came home, and I started to research like the student that I was. And I discovered all these things about our food system. I discovered all the chemicals, all the pesticides, all the herbicides, all these ingredients. What are these names? What is tartrazine? I had no idea, and I said, this does not belong in our food. I discovered all of the toxins that were in our personal care products, and all these things that I was I remember being in my bathroom and looking, like I lined up all of my shampoo and my conditioner, and I was reading the ingredients, and they all were sodium lauryl sulfate and all these crazy things, and I said, there's something wrong with that. I found knowledge from papers saying that a cosmetic manufacturer may use almost any raw material as a cosmetic ingredient and market the product without approval from FDA. And I thought, what? That makes no sense at all. No sense whatsoever. And I just kept learning, and I filled my brain with as much as I possibly could because I wanted to get healthy and I wanted to feel better. And I knew that if I could do something in my life, maybe tomorrow I'll feel better, and maybe, I can go back to normal and it'll be great. And I remember a picture that I saw because, like I said, I really enjoyed going on PubMed and like looking up medical studies and all these research articles. And I found one from a professor called Dr. Tyrone Haynes from UC Berkeley, and he was studying the long-term effects of atrazine on frogs. And atrazine is the #1 contaminant in our water. It's an herbicide, and he showed how it demasculinized frogs. So this is a male frog, was a male frog, and he has 2 testes, 2 ovaries. So he's basically a hermaphrodite. And I thought that was crazy. I could not even fathom this concept. And so I had no idea, John, that you were GMO Inside, so thank you for this, because it really changed my world. Just knowing that there were people out there that were trying to stop these companies from polluting our world and from causing all these problems to happen. So, like I said, I was able to change my world, and I was able to make myself healthy, and I felt better, but there was something missing. I had no idea that other people would be like-minded like I was. I had no idea that this was so important to other people, and that the message that I had could actually make an impact in someone else's life, right? I didn't know that I had a voice, and I didn't know that I could help other people realize that this way of living is the way that we all should be living and that we can do something about it. So imagine my life in Texas. I was at Rice University, and I was living this cool, organic, kind of natural lifestyle, and I was very scared to kind of talk to other people about it. I didn't think they would understand me, and Texas is very conventional. Like, my friends were like, oh, what is that organic stuff that you're eating? I'm like, oh, it's really great. And like the minute I start talking, they're like drifting off. They're like, okay, Ashley's kind of going a little crazy lately. Let's just let her kind of phase through this. So when JJ and Judy were at Rice for the Conscious College Road Tour, this was not the one that I met them at. This was one that we put on later. But I was blown away. I was like, finally, somebody gets me. I saw all the products. I saw the food. I was mesmerized. I said, how crazy is it that this just happened in my world? I just discovered this, and all of a sudden there was somebody here to confirm that I was on the right path. And I remember talking to Judy, and I just said, we had this long, I don't even know, it was like 2 hours conversation. And by the way, I had like left my work to come and see this because my friend texted me. She was like, you need to come to the academic quad. It's crazy. You're going to love it. And I was just there for hours and hours. And I remember they were like setting down and everything. And so, it just completely changed my world talking to them. And that moment was the moment that I was able to intern for Teens Turning Green at the time, but now Turning Green. They somehow got me on a flight to San Francisco, and I was living with Judy for a summer. And the things that we did that summer, and the summer after that, I can't even put to words. I would be here for hours and hours talking about my experience, but there were so many seminal moments watching films like GMO OMG, like Bitter Seeds, that really opened my eyes further to really see how the problems not only impacted my health, but they impacted everyone. They impacted the planet. And we did Project Green Dorm. We fed kids at the Conjun Kitchen. We had so many meetings, and we went to Washington, Seattle, and we That was JJ's birthday. But we were a family. We were a team, and I never thought that I would meet like the most amazing friends that I could just connect with all over the world. It was unbelievable. And after my summers there, I went to Rice, and I applied everything that I had learned as much as I could to do things and to change things on my campus. We raised $20,000 to fund sustainability on campus from our student government. We got a grant from a Cure to green our O Week. We had thrift stores. We did bike shares. We did incredible things that I could never have done by myself. All these people here, this was my tribe there at Rice, and I couldn't have done it without them. There was no way I could have done that by myself. We hosted a fashion show, we hosted panels, we created organizations that helped to combine everybody's efforts together to improve sustainability on campus. And so going through that was a huge change in my life, and it really helped to inspire me, and along the way, I was finally able to figure out what was wrong with me. So I got a diagnosis in last year, the fall of my senior year, and I found out that I had PCOS. And polycystic ovarian syndrome, it affects 1 in 10 women, 50% of women go undiagnosed, and it affects us, women of our age. And it has these common signs and symptoms, which I later found out was why I was feeling the way I did when I was. The cost of this disorder is substantial, $4.4 billion alone in 2004. And I found out that the chemicals in our environment were highly contributed to the pathogenesis of this disorder, and I had no idea. And a lot of scientists don't really understand it either, but once I found this out, I knew that my whole path, my journey, what I did from transitioning from conventional conscious was for a reason, because I would never have known that. I would never, if I had waited for the medical community to catch up to this, I would have ended up here, infertility, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, endometrial cancer. This is what happens when you don't do anything about it. And I was so thankful that I was able to catch it at a moment when it was prevention, when I could avoid getting it to this point. So for that, I'm so thankful for the path that I was on, because I would have lived a completely different life. So going into my career and using everything that I learned from Turning Green and everything I was able to do at Rice and the passions that I had growing up, I got a fellowship at MD Anderson after I graduated for the summer. And I was working in integrative medicine because I was still thinking, I really want to be a doctor, and I'll be an integrative medicine doctor because it's conventional and holistic, and it's the beautiful marriage of the two, and I can help people, and I can help people like me who, could use this kind of guidance. And so I found a scientist in the integrative medicine department who had wanted to do this project on conventionally versus organically grown vegetables. So we did it. I said, I'm your girl, we're gonna do this, it's gonna happen. And so for the summer, this was my project, and I found that basically that arugula sourced locally from the farmer's market, and we wanted to test organic so that we could have less variables. So we found that buying locally versus buying from the grocery store actually had double the sulforaphane content. Sulforaphane is an anti-cancer compound, and that was very significant, and everybody was so excited when we found this, and I remember learning how to do the statistical analysis, and it was amazing. But doing this, I was very excited about it, but I also realized that it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I really liked integrative medicine, and I loved how it helped me, and I loved how I loved a lot of the concepts behind it, but there was something missing. And that's when I went to Baylor College of Medicine for the Environmental Health Service, where I am right now. And what we do there is incredible. We utilize clinic care and research care in order to come up with holistic services for all different kinds of diseases that could be impacted by environmental issues. And so right now we're doing a study on environmental intervention with African Americans who have disproportionately affected by asthma. And so what we do is we go to their homes and we do a complete analysis of their home. We test them for mold and for all different kinds of things. And so this is what I do now, and I love it. And I just want to let everybody know that no matter what you think you're going to do along the way, your life is going to change. And you're going to come across different people. You're going to meet different people. Your mind is going to go from here to there, right? You have so many ideas. You have so many ideas in your brain, and you're like, I'm not really sure what I'm passionate about, but you have a whole life to live. And the niche in environmental activism is so large, right? And we need every one of you, because I can't be the farm-to-table chef, right? I can't be the communication specialist or the product specialist or the architect, but I can utilize my passions to, maybe I'm in the medical field today, maybe I'm in environmental activism tomorrow, who knows? But as long as you're using your voice and your power to change the world, that's all that matters. So thank you so much.